What's up? Welcome into another What Would You Do Wednesday with your Remchuck and Coomsy and Cam. Our big question this week, who is the ideal first round opponent for the Edmonton Oilers? The options we got here are the Vancouver Canucks, the LA Kings, and the Vegas Golden Knights. Vancouver, surprisingly, still in the mix. They're sitting at 86 points, only 76 games played, so they're 4 points back of LA, who holds that last playoff spot. But Vancouver has a game in hand, and they have a head-to-head game coming up before the end of the year against the LA Kings. Vegas looking like they're kind of dead in the water at 87 points in 77 games. But if you had your choice out of LA, Vegas, and Vancouver, who would you pick for the Oilers' first-round opponent?
Well, that's a tough one because you don't want to, you never want to get too far ahead of yourself, right? The Oilers haven't clinched. They're not officially in second place in the Pacific, but it is looking good. It does seem as though, barring some complete disaster, we'll get in, and these are who the three opponents are. LA is struggling recently because they're without Drew Doughty for the rest of the season, which is obviously a huge loss. Their blue line does not look at all the same without him on the team. And they've lost 4 of their last 6 games. And both Cal Peterson and Jonathan Quick have been struggling. Vegas, it's the same thing. Like, they have a perfect opportunity with LA not playing well to kind of finally get themselves together and snatch that spot, but they just haven't done it. They have finally, for the first time, Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, and Max Pacioretty all playing together. But with those three, they're 1, 2, and 1 in the lineup. Their goaltending has been all over the grid. Robin Lehner is dealing with a personal issue. Laurent Brossoit is injured. And the third string goalie, Logan Thompson, has been the best of the three, but he's all over the grid. Meanwhile, Vancouver, out of the blue, is suddenly playing the best of these three teams, despite the fact that it looks like Bo Horvat's going to miss the rest of the season. So that's their captain and their best two-way center. But Vancouver's won 6 in a row, and their next game is against Ottawa. And Ottawa's not very good, so that could be 7 in a row right away. And I think, honestly, the Canucks are the team that I would like to avoid in the playoffs, just because you don't want to go up against someone who's coming in with momentum. So we have to hope that they remain on the outside looking in. Vegas, another one there too. There's kind of that worry with them. Once there's no salary cap, maybe they activate everybody and they're going to finally pull it together. They have the most talent. I think LA is the ideal option here, despite the fact that they're a team that has still Anze Kopitar and Jonathan Quick, Dustin Brown, 3 guys who have won Stanley Cups in the past. They're not the same team without Drew Doughty. So that's who I would like to face.
Yeah, like LA's been playing without the bulk of their decor kind of all season here. They've been incredibly banged up, but you brought up the goaltending of the LA Kings. And early in the year, it was the Jonathan Quick revenge tour, and Cal Peterson's got that nice shiny extension. He was playing well. But since January 1st, Cal Peterson has an .896 save percentage. Jonathan Quick is all the way down at .891. I agree with you on Vegas. I think that's a team who you don't want to run into in the playoffs. I wouldn't be as worried about running into Vancouver, but the reason they're not my answer is one guy, and that's Thatcher Demko. If you remember what he did against the Vegas Golden Knights when the Canucks pushed them to Game 7, Demko is good enough to single-handedly steal you a series. And when I look at either Peterson or Quick, even if they're at their best, I don't think they'll be at their best for an entire 7-game series and at the level that Demko can be. So I'm going to agree with you. Like, LA is, even when you look at their forward group, like, it's okay, it's deep, but Trevor Moore's their leading scorer since January 1st, right? Like, that's not exactly a guy who should be striking fear into you. So Vancouver, I would have them second on my list of who I'd want to play. Vegas is definitely third because, again, you look at them on paper and you're like, damn, that's just a team who's been in the playoffs a lot. And if they get in and Leonard gets hot, it could be a really tough matchup for Edmonton. And I just look at LA as a team that's going to be limping into the playoffs if they even do get in. And a handful of things have not been going their way recently. And hey, the Oilers did just beat them last week as well. So is there a team there that you think the Oilers can't beat, though? Like, do you think if they went up against Vegas, they couldn't beat them? Is it an unwinnable series?
No, I'm confident in Edmonton going up against all these 3 opponents. But that being said, I was also very confident when the Oilers went up against the Blackhawks and when they went up against the Jets. So I'm going to pump my Jets a little bit and say none of these are going to be easy wins. The Oilers still have to prove themselves in the playoffs because over the past 2 years, I mean, the reality is they just haven't gotten the job done. Like I said before, I think LA is the team you want to go up against. They look hurt. They're reeling. And the hope is that they're in the spot right now. Hopefully they can just keep it up and the Oilers can go in against a team that they know they can beat. I don't see, knock on wood, because I've been wrong about this in the past, I don't see the Doughty-less LA Kings shutting down the Oilers.
Yeah, and that's the big one for me. If Doughty was in the lineup, I maybe would lean a little bit more to Vancouver, but the injuries the Kings are facing and what their blue line looks like and how deep the Oilers are out front, I think that's a really good matchup for Edmonton. That's going to do it for another What Would You Do Wednesday with your Remchuck and Coomsy. Don't forget, hit the like, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our content heading up to the playoffs.